All right, good morning. We're live on the air with Jaime Donally on the Sweet Talk. Today is Friday, July 13th. I know it's Friday the 13th, but here on the Sweet Talk, we are all in a chippy, good mood. I'm very happy to have Jaime Donally on the show today. She's going to be going over AR and VR in the classroom. Jaime, if you don't know, she's very ed tech, and she's a tech enthusiast with AR and VR. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Jaime, and she's going to talk to us about AR, VR, and education. Good
Perfect.
morning, Jaime.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me, Kim. I really appreciate the flexibility of meeting. It's really nice to be able to meet from home. And I'm excited to share. My passion for immersive technology has been going and increasing several years now. And I love the fact that we're finally at a time where people are ready to embrace this technology. So I'm excited to share.
Great. I'm really happy to have you on because I'd like to hear and learn from you with this type of technology. My experience with AR VR is mainly with Google Expeditions, um, using that in the classroom, maps, the 360-degree map street view. And those are great technologies also, but it's also nice to expand and learn how you can use other tools with students in the classroom. So I'm really happy to have you on today.
Thank you. I agree with, the interesting thing about Google is I feel like with Google Cardboard, it's made this happen. I feel like it made it mainstream. It made it something that people are aware of. And I think Google Expeditions really put VR in the mass uses as opposed to this unknown only for developers. We don't quite get it. And, just like Erasmus did or, Pokemon Go did with augmented reality, right? So it gave it this exposure and and pushed it out there to a larger scale. So I think Google has really pushed the boundaries on the VR side. I think right now they're working on something pretty major with Magic Leap. Has been in the works for several years now. I just posted last night that they have over $2 billion invested. I mean, it's a very secret, big, big, big project. And AT&T just said that they'll be selling their Magic Leap goggles on their end to customers. So I think that we're going to see an explosion on the AR side as well as the VR.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. It'll be interesting to see the. My phone is ringing in the background, so I
It's okay.
apologize. That's my landline phone. Yeah, I still have one.
I haven't had one of those in years. I know it's strange.
It's crazy. I usually unplug it, but today I must have forgot about it. But
Yeah.
anyhow, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how all these other companies put their little version and tweak it and market their product on what's already out there. So, well, it's only time will tell.
Right. Well, and the concept of the cardboard experience, I think, made it a reasonable cost for all of us. And that was what I think started this enthusiasm and journey. And I'll share here in a little while as well. The journey, even with when things go super cheap, like we talked about with the Merge Cube, we'll share a little bit about that. When that got down to $1, and people started buying it like crazy and the expansion of it, it really took it dropping to those prices for somebody to acknowledge, hey, I could do this with all my students. This is something that we have available to us at a very affordable cost for the classroom. So I think when it comes to education, looking at those high end costs of those headsets, that may not be in our classrooms to the masses, but we are seeing the opportunity just like Google Cardboard. Of course, we've advanced past that. Cardboard is not really safe for the classroom. Passing something that's cardboard material from one student to the next is not wise. You need to be able to disinfect it. But the concept in itself of having a viewer to be able to immerse yourself is available, but we've all kind of started transitioning to where it's more of a novelty, like that. But we would have never gotten into it had that cardboard not started us off to get us to the point where we're saying, we really don't need the cardboard. We can still have this experience, even if it's not as immersive when we're in a viewer.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Definitely.
Yeah. So, well, I'll go ahead and get started and sharing some of the tools that I think would be really, helpful for people to be aware of. And I'll go ahead and start off with the Merge Cube, and I'll share a little bit because that is quite popular, and everybody's going out and buying them, and then they're like, "Well, what do I do now?" I got them, I got 100 of them, or I got 50 of them, or I got 10, and I don't know where to begin. And for me, starting off with the Merge Cube, they're just QR codes, all the way around. You can see that we are all familiar with scanning QR codes, and we've all seen Erasmus to where you can do various things on a item, like adding a video or adding 3D objects. Now it's called HP Reveal, by the way. Mid product, not as good, surprisingly. But with that, the Merge Cube, what it does is it makes it very easy for you to be able to track and add. So developers have started creating apps for the same cube. So Daiquiri education at the time was very much creating these cubes that you could print out on paper, and then you can go and have these experiences with the elements. So in science classes, we were having a lot of kids explore with the elements and combining elements and doing some pretty cool things. Um, but the difference is I think when we're running into with this cube is that it's not just one app running this; it's an unlimited amount of apps all using this cube to create different experiences. I actually am not. Is it okay if I go ahead and screen share?
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. All right. So I right. I actually wrote an article for EdSurge on using the Merge Cube because I knew that that was something that was needed. People needed to know what tools were available. So hopefully, let's see if I can get in there. Um, and so in the article, I kind of do a countdown of like, some of my top 10 favorite academic uses. Since this article came out, because this was something that I posted a while back, so back in March, there's been so many more that have come through and so many more creation opportunities for our students. But, I went through and just kind of listed some of the apps like Things, and you can see Elemental Order. So you're kind of looking at, you know, kind of a game of memory and helps you focus. And then you have Mr. Body, so more for our younger students that are looking at the body parts. And then we go into, adding your own aquarium inside of your cube and looking at the solar system inside of on your hand. HoloGlobe is really incredible. They're working on a release of iOS right now. But here on HoloGlobe, you're actually, excuse me, HoloGlobe didn't have an image, it's up top. This one right here. But HoloGlobe is able to look at the live feed of weather patterns on the Earth. So as you're looking at this, you're not just looking at what the Earth looks like in general, you're looking at it very specifically as to what does this look like right now, where do we see precipitation, and where do we see possible, like tornadic, different types of devastation, hurricanes, and things like that, that we can see live, which I think is a fantastic idea. So it's pulling from the Weather Channel and NASA to be able to get that data. And Dino Digger is really great because it's more interactive, where you're able to go in and excavate your cube to find these dinosaur bones that are located at different parts of the world. You build your museum. Then we go into this one, Dig, very similar to Minecraft, but it's on your cube. And you can start with somebody else's world. So I can download somebody else's world, and then it will show up on my cube, which I think is, a great way of students becoming the content creators. And they can also share with others by adding it into the world, and other people can download their worlds as well. Um, we go into this next one, anatomy. I think this one just captures so much. I'll see if it will let me play the video. And you can see here that we have the opportunity to look at various organs and parts of the body that would look at it in much more depth. You'll see here in a second, as I explore different body parts, how close I can get in and look at it, how real it feels to hold something like this in your hand, to have the information available to me, and have the visual tied in to what we talk about in the classroom. I think there's a lot of great uses for science for sure with augmented and virtual reality. I want to say that's one of the top subjects that you could find content for. But the exploratory aspect of it, and here you can see this beating heart, and what you'll see is how close I can get into it, as opposed to just looking at this 3D version of a heart. I'm actually able to go inside the valve and look and see what that would look like inside of a heart. So I think it's just pretty phenomenal to go in and explore it to that extent that we have available all through with 99-cent app on our dollar cube. And so the last one was, I think a phenomenal way of exploring the cube. And this is great for our language arts teachers. And they have a chance to be able to go in and explore different, well, this story, but it progresses based upon your interest. So I decide what's going to happen in the story. You'll see here in a second. I can actually hear the story playing, and then it gives me options. Do I want to turn the boat? Do I want to stop the boat? I choose by moving my cube, and then I go through the story and view it inside of my cube and listen in. And as it goes through and explores, then I'm able to continue the story as I believe the story can go. So every day I can come in and view a different part of the story as I progress it in different directions. So looking at those options and looking at how storytelling has taken place, I think that is a phenomenal change in what we have available. I did write a post with EdSurge because I felt like this was something that was really relevant and for our language arts teachers, is looking at storytelling and looking at how AR and VR is really transforming how we can interact with stories, create stories, and hear stories. So I had listed a couple different tools. This one's Get Curious, and this is a fairly new tool that was just released a couple weeks ago. But you actually purchase kind of like a maker kit, as well as the AR application that you would download, and you can go in and explore and learn as you create and kind of interact in that experience. Looking at some of our standards, of course, I tied in the ISTE standards, but of course, looking at our standards and looking at the connection and how to use these different tools. So I have, quite a few different things listed here as far as resources, but really getting our students in here and learning collectively in storytelling, I think is really a great tool. So I'll go.
And how much is that app or that kit?
Yeah, it was sent to me to be able to check out, and it wasn't quite for purchase yet. It was still kind of in the beta experience. I brought a bunch of them with me because I was able to give them out at the scavenger hunt at ISTE. I hosted a scavenger hunt to kick off ISTE on that Saturday. And Get Curious was one of those pieces that we had as part of the scavenger hunt. I got to give out a bunch, but I have not personally purchased them yet. And I believe that they're able to get a discount. I know I will be posting something from my blog about this particular product, as well as the options that we have to do that. So, well, I'll move over to my website, which, since I'm talking about it, some of the resources that you have. I have a couple different things that I've written and I've kind of highlighted here for you to be able to go check out. Some of the connections to global collaboration, like for us right now, that we can connect wherever we're at. And then some of the apps to use with ARKit, and that is a game changer. We're We're now seeing AR Kit 2 just released by Apple, and AR Core released from on the Android side, so that we can explore and learn essentially with the same apps on both platforms, which is great. And then we have the different tools here that we can use on, immersive technology, really getting started. I just mentioned the Merge Cube post. And then also on the left-hand side, and I'll bring this down, I've written a book with ISTE, and it was released in April on immersive technology tools. And my passion in this is not to talk about these high-end devices that can be in your class maybe one day, or if you have a huge grant and maybe you bring in one or two into the classroom. To me, I feel like the usage, just like we talked about the cube, is something that all classrooms can have right now. They don't have to wait till one day. And the tools that we have available with the devices we already have are here. So really exposing people that all teachers, they don't have to be tech savvy, can get in there and really enjoy and appreciate the opportunities that we have with immersive technology. So this book was really, it's an easy read. I was a math teacher, so you can get through this book very quickly. I'm not a fantastic writer by no means. It's very simplified. I think that it's written in a way that hopefully gives every educator the confidence to jump in to the technology. It also has lesson plans and resources that has student usage of how they've used these tools and put them into practice. And I'm actually talking to ISTE right now about book 2, and I'm really looking at the personalized learning aspect of it and making it your own. So I'm excited about that. The Oculus Go, so one of the things that I will show here, and I have it listed here, is the Oculus Go. I'll stop screen sharing. This is something fairly new that came out that I think is at a good price point. Here's my remote, and then here's my viewer. This was released by Facebook, really intended more for the collaboration aspect, the social aspect of what it offers. And here it looks like a very normal viewer, just like for Merge. This is my viewer. It's made of foamy type material, easy to wipe down and clean and sanitize. Lots of great things that I could do as far as adjusting my lens in here to make sure that I can see. Fits every device that I can see. Sometimes you have to take off your case if you have a very large device. It also has ports open for your audio if you want to plug in headphones for directional sound, as well as a strap to wear if you want to, which I don't recommend for classrooms because of things like lice. But then one important aspect is that you have an exposed camera. And so looking at what mixed reality and augmented reality coming into play, it makes it really good to be able to interact with your cube when you have both hands free and you have a connection to your selection tool. And I can actually go in and select here so that I can have both hands available to interact within the cube. It makes it really nice. But here on the Oculus Go, what makes this different is that it's a standalone device. There's no phone inside. I did connect it with my phone when I first got started, but now my phone could be nowhere in sight and anybody could play with it. So I got it started through my phone to connect to internet, connect to any social media accounts that I wanted it to be connected to. But I can actually go into Facebook Live mode inside of my Oculus. So I can record things that I'm doing. I did it the first night, and then everybody's kind of like, "What's going on here? I don't understand." But it came out one day. We have an awesome AR, VR, and EDU community that were talking about it. It was $200. I purchased a little bit more storage, so I got mine for $250. Very affordable when it comes to these high-end devices. Very good quality. It is sitting and interacting, having a remote available and a touchpad, and then a selector tool. It looks very similar to what you would see maybe on an Xbox. As a matter of fact, you can connect your Xbox remote by Bluetooth with the Oculus Go, so if you wanted a little bit more interaction. But I'm going to share a story about that because I think it's important to note that us as educators think we know what students want to do. So when I brought it home, my kids were like, "Oh, this is so cool," and I was like, "Yeah, this is awesome," and see all their interactions like, "Ah, I'm scared," and there, here comes the dinosaur, and just what you typically see with this VR experience. But I was telling them where to go and directing them at the beginning of, first go here, then do this. And so they were kind of following what I wanted them to do and what I thought they would want to do. And then as time went on, I started noticing that my device was always missing, and of course, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So what are you doing? And oh, I'm watching a movie. So they're going in through like Hulu or Netflix, and they're going into their own spaces. It's like their own location that's completely virtual, and they may be sitting there with you, but boy, are they not there with you, right? So, I mean, they're in their space, no distractions. And then you have them going to theaters to go watch this, their own virtual theater. And then you can invite friends to come in and watch the movie with you or the show or whatever that is, from anybody around the world. So if it's somebody you're connected to and you're like, hey, Kim, you want to come join me and let's watch this movie together? So I think where Facebook is going is definitely this virtual collaboration. But I never would have dreamed that's where my kids, I'm like, the TV's right there. Like, why don't you just watch the TV right there? And they're like, because it's different. This is my own space. I have no distractions, and it's just calming and peaceful to them.
Now, what about earbuds? If they're watching a movie, do they have to have earbuds plugged into the unit?
Great question. So on this particular device, no, it comes through on the side and streams right through this little part of the the strap. So it actually vibrates through here and goes right by your ears. So you don't have to have headphones on. If you wear them, you can probably have a little bit more clear experience, but surprisingly, the sound quality is very good on this particular device. So you don't have to. And I was sitting the first night that I had it. Amanda Fox is a great, educator that shares out a lot on virtual reality. So her and I are in there together talking, and my husband's in the room with me, and I'm like, "Can you hear her?" And he's like, "No, I can't hear her." And I'm talking to Amanda, "Can you hear my husband?" "No, I can't hear him." I'm like, "I can't believe we're standing all here in the same space," but it really does target what you're saying and kind of eliminates this noise reduction around you, and then really helps you hone in on what you're hearing through that person, but not hearing their surroundings on where they're at. So surprisingly, the sound quality is quite good, and really interesting because it's like, how can I hear so clearly, but you can't hear anything she's saying? So anyway, so yeah, that's the Oculus Go again. It's at a good price point. Do I think it's academic ready? Absolutely not. I think it has a ways to go. I think with a lot of these different tools, we're going to see this transition where they're developer tools. They're getting us ready for what could be available, in my opinion, on our mobile devices. I think our mobile devices have opportunity that we very rarely delve into, and we have the opportunity to be able to take that on multiple platforms. One of the things that you're going to find, talking about Google, is our browser-based augmented and virtual reality. That's going to be a change and a shift that's coming down the pipeline. They call it WebXR. So instead of going in and having to download an app and having to have these experiences on the high-end devices, the brand new Apple or the brand new Android device, or having these high-end, headsets to be able to do these things, we're going to find that it's all going to be done in our browser. One is
That's good because it'll be more accessible.
absolutely. Our older devices are going to come back to life. We're going to have this option through these older devices. All of our browsers are really starting to take suit. We're seeing, of course, Chrome is making a way for this right now. So when we talk about Chromebooks in the classroom and what this looks like with augmented and virtual reality using our camera on our device, it's going to totally be a game changer. You can do that right now in beta on some of the Chromebooks where I can go in and download the Android apps, and to be able to experience these cubes on my Chromebook right now. So if administrators open up that setting and made that available, then they can go in there and do that. So with browser based though, is one, we don't need the space anymore on our devices. We don't need the specific device to be able to download that app. And we're going to find that it's a lot faster. That experience is going to be much more seamless as opposed to having to wait. So just going to a link and having this experience now is what we're going to anticipate here in the future. So I am really excited about what we're going to see browser based, both, and they call it XR because it's AR or VR or MR, it kind of goes through augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality. It's like all reality, right? So XR. So what we'll see is web VR, it started off as, has now progressed to web XR because it's ready to move in for the augmented and virtual reality aspect.
Now, do you know a time frame when that's going to be made available for Chrome?
Well, right now it is in beta, where you can go in and choose to have that setting available to you, and to be able to have some of those experiences. The problem is our developers need to create in WebXR. So while it's possible, and we're seeing some things happen on the AR VR side, what we are not. So I've been able to draw inside of my browser on my phone. So I can draw in 3D and walk around in my space, kind of like what we saw with Tilt Brush from Google, right? I can actually do that on my mobile device through a browser now. I've been able to do that already using ARKit inside of my device, through several different apps drawing in 3D. But what I'm seeing now is this transition to this XR platform in our browser. So it is not necessarily a timestamp because I think it's available today. It's just a matter of our developers. So everybody, all the companies I talk to, I'm constantly saying, look, this is a transition that has to happen for our classrooms. This is something that you've got to make available cross-platform, because having it just on this device or just on this device is something that's just not going to be a mass usage, but when you transition to that browser-based immersive experiences, we're going to really see a higher usage for our classrooms.
Now, do you think that that version of Chrome, the WebXR, is going to run efficiently on older Chromebooks?
Yes. I think that right now Chromebooks don't have that available to them. I think it's more of a browser type experience. So when we're looking at Chromebooks, again, even on our mobile devices, so if I'm on an older um, Android device, if I have that browser that I can download, that's the goal, is that you have the most up to date browser available to you, which can go back pretty far. So it's a matter of Google Chrome saying, yes, this is available. This is what we're going to make it available on. And Firefox is pretty far ahead as well. Safari's trying to keep up and they're staying active. A lot of people are like, oh, well, Apple and Google will never let this happen. And it's like, well, no, that's not true. They've made it happen. They're all making it happen. They're all seeing the potential in this browser-based experiences. So I think that we will see this transition continue to come, but it's really our developers saying we're going to make this available now through this platform. Are you familiar with CoSpaces?
Yes, yes, I used CoSpaces last year with my students.
Right. So we have CoSpaces available, and that's cross-platform. That's mobile device, that's tablets, that's browser-based experiences, and that's what we're going to start seeing this transition to. Is that we're going to start seeing these now. In their case, it's just built into the browser. But what we'll find is that eventually we'll start using that camera inside of these experiences where I can go in and explore on the augmented reality side as well within CoSpaces.
I think that's the way to go, having it available in the web, in the
Mhm.
browser, because it's going to be accessible on any device. Plus, I don't have to worry about, my mobile device connecting to the school Wi-Fi or using my data plan, or sometimes the apps are they can't run on older mobile phones or mobile devices. Yeah, we assume that these students have like the most up-to-date devices, but sometimes they don't, or sometimes they have like those go pay as you go phones,
Right.
and those apps don't run on those devices. So I think that like with me, I was in the computer lab last year and I used CoSpaces, and we were able to use the web-based version, and I didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. It just eliminates that whole that whole factor in my lesson, and having the kids just use, the web-based, code-based environment. So it's not, you don't have the downtime. I don't have to worry about, external BYOD issues and things like that. And I think that's, for schools, it's probably going to be a lot more affordable because they already have the Chrome browser or the browser already installed. All they have to do is update it. So it does make sense that, it's going to be more accessible, and it does make sense to go into that direction. I mean, even if you think like Google Earth, remember Google Earth never ran on Chromebooks,
Yeah.
and you had to download Google Chrome as the program onto your Windows computer or your desktop computer as like as an external or a different application. And now, years later, they evolved, and now you can access Google Earth on your Chromebook via a link.
Mhm.
So, things do get better, they do evolve, and they do try to accommodate the user when it comes to, immersive technology.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I'm going to share. Let me go ahead and screen share this real quick. I know that some people just listening in, I'll try to describe this. But let me I have to make sure I have the right screen. So I have another post out there with EdSurge. My most recent post, I actually have another one coming here very soon. Um, this one is web-based AR/VR tools, and it's specific for Chromebooks. So it talks how, of course, CoSpaces is one of those tools. We're now seeing now with MergeCube and things that you can do there. Metaverse is a very good experience to create some augmented reality on your Chromebook, and then looking at, what does this look like for Android and Chromebooks, and where we're going to be able to download these apps. So there's information more specifically geared towards our conversation there, as well as some of the links here where you can go in and check out some of these resources to be able to explore. So um, all these are really linked inside of these EdSurge posts that I'm doing. So if you go to me as a writer for EdSurge, you can see some of these posts. The very first one that I wrote was geared towards ARKit, and I think it's just the start of this expansion of augmented reality that we've never really had the option for before. So this is such a great time, an exciting time because things are coming out. And I get really bored with things really quickly. It's probably like something I need to consider talking to a doctor about because it's like, come on, stay focused. But with that, I really do find like this excitement and enthusiasm in seeing this continuous, influx of resources that are coming and the changes that are adapting to make it more suitable for us. Some people are very afraid of all these massive changes coming so quickly, and it's overwhelming. So I think, really getting started and just jumping into one thing, whether that be CoSpaces or Metaverse or Merge, you're jumping into something and you're having a chance to really explore that one product. And then you're able then to expand should you want to. But it's an exciting time with immersive technology, and I just can't wait to see what's going to happen here in the future.
Yeah, I mean, to go back to MergeCube, I played with MergeCube. I did the Aquarium app, Mr. Body, and the Galactic app, and because
Mhm.
they were free,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, this is really cool, and I created a blog post about it, but I was one of those people that found the MergeCube for $1
Oh,
at
yeah.
my local Walmart. So I bought a classroom set. So I have a classroom set here, and I didn't get a chance to implement it this year because I got it like in May,
Mhm.
April, May. So I didn't get a chance to work with it in the classroom. But now, starting in September, I want to take those and bring them into my classroom. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Some of those apps, I know they're free. Some of them are you have to pay for, but I noticed that you have to enter the code. There's like a code that you have to enter in
Mhm.
when you initialize the Merge Cube or that app
Right.
in order for you to use it. So my question is, if I have 3 classes using the same Merge Cube and my first class entered that code in, now my second class comes in, can that student use that Merge Cube on their device?
Um,
Maybe. or is it one code per student?
I've never tried to do different codes for different. I know that on the cube, people are like, don't lose that slip. It gives you your code, but it's actually also on your cube written on there. So if you happen to not have it, don't worry. It's actually on your cube. But the thing is I've never put in my code. I always skip it. So I
Really?
force you to go to a website initially, but then just click back and you can go through the experience. So I've never put in it makes it easier if it's your device and your merge cube at home, me demoing that I have to skip every time. It's probably not convenient, but I've just never taken, again, going back to maybe the ADD, I've never taken the time to go through and initialize registering that because it's just always like, all right, skip it for right now. I'll do that later. But that is something you don't have to have. On one of my blogs, I have a printable, a way for you to be able to print out to kind of test your cube. So you can go through and explore what that looks like. So having something like that without a code is possible. It's free. And when I posted it, immediately somebody had created a massive cube, like they printed it out in a large scale. Because the larger trigger image that you have, the larger experience that you'll have. So they did that and they made this huge solar system inside of their classroom. The kids were excited. Well, then it just kept getting bigger. People just kept printing them bigger and bigger. And I even heard somebody say that they're getting it printed on sides of a wall, like literally, like you could walk around and it's that massive. And then at ISTE, I had somebody come bring me a little tiny mini cube, which was super cute. And so you have these types of things that are happening very creatively, customizing. But what they have released on the merge is Object Viewer, which is free. You can go in and upload your own 3D objects and then explore and see them inside of your cube. So I think as we transition into what our students are developing, have you heard about the connection that was announced with CoSpaces yet?
Yeah, I heard that they merged with MergeCube.
Well, yeah, they're making it, they basically are partnering up where this platform could be shown. And right now, it's just on one surface, but what we're going to see is a transition to where I can build all the way around my cube. I can build inside of my cube. I can expand beyond my cube. All of these things all done on CoSpaces and all made viewable on the cube. So that transition is fantastic. What we'll see with that connection and many more connecting with Merge and other companies that we're going to start seeing all of these really working together, which is a smart move on these education companies.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to open the door to a lot of possibilities for educators to use in the classroom. But some educators have to just kind of take the dive, take the risk, and just go with it, And some people they don't feel as comfortable with that. But I'm starting a new job in September, so I'm
Congrats.
going to be using these cubes with my students. I don't know what type of tablets they have yet, so I have a learning curve with the new school, the middle school that I'm going to get familiar with what they have available. But once I do, I definitely want to use it. I experimented a little bit with the object viewer
Mm-hmm.
and with the Shapes app.
Mm-hmm.
I have an Android device, so I know those apps came out in beta, and I was able to download it. I know they geared it more toward Apple users at first, but I was able to get the beta apps and played around with it, and I think there's a lot of possibility for even for math teachers to use. Especially for geometry, with the Shapes app. Object Viewer leaves it open for endless possibilities, because they can create objects even in Tinkercad, right? And upload those images into Object Viewer, or they can take a picture with their device and upload it to Object Viewer, correct?
Yeah, well, it wants to be an object file, so it's possible. I've used an app called Clone, Qlone, where I can scan with my device, and it's laid on a QR code, and you put an object on top of it, and then you're able to either walk around or turn your sheet. and scan the different parts. It kind of helps you identify where to scan, and then I can take that object file. They have you pay for packages to be able to download that at that point, but those object files that you want to then upload into. So if there's something that I want to show much larger, I can absolutely do that. I could take something very small in real life and I can make it very large on the cube. So
What kind of file type is compatible? Like a S, what is it,
OBJ.
SPF? What
Mhm.
is it?
OBJ.
OBJ. Okay. I thought there was a different type of file, like it started with an S.
STL, I haven't. I tried to upload an STL and it did an object viewer. It didn't allow me to do that, but OBJ did work.
Okay.
Really nice to have that as an option. Um, and I'm actually working on a post right now where I'm showing you how to make your own cube. So your cube for your classroom, maybe that's a story cube that you want to have them tell a story, or maybe you have, in my case, at ISTE, when I was at the Merge booth, I did book signing. So I had prizes people can win. And I had Kevin, I'm not even going to be able to say his last name right, but he is a developer for EQtainment. And he has created some really cool stuff on the Merge Cube and immediately got picked up and somebody bought him out. But he made me an app the night before for the Merge Cube and put what they can win on each side. You know, it was very simple, but the text around it. And so people were spinning and they were able to win a free book or a free ebook, or they were able to win a Merge Cube, or they were able to win a t-shirt. I brought the ARVR and EDU t-shirts. And so they were able to win all those things. They came up to the booth, they spun the die and, you know, got a chance to explore on that one. So that, I thought that was a really neat concept. So I'm showing how to do that very easily using free products like 3DC.io. And I can do that on my phone. I can do that on the computer. I create it, I upload it into Object Viewer, then I take that code and then I can use it in my classroom and I can keep on adapting it for whatever I need it to be.
That's pretty cool because if you do that, so you can upload different tasks onto 3dc.io, right? And then upload it into Object Viewer, and then you can have the kids kind of like roll the die, and then whatever comes up, they have to complete that task.
Yeah. The
So
kids
it could
that with
definitely
a
be
bell
used
ringer
like,
today.
yeah, like a bell ringer, or even like a storytelling activity, like you said. I do like that. You
Yeah.
have to share those links in the agenda so
Yeah.
the viewers can reference it, because I'm taking notes as you're talking too. Because
Perfect.
this is definitely like a learning curve for me. You know, I dived into CoSpaces this year and I got a lot of great feedback from the students. I did it with sixth grade students and we used it for storytelling. And most of the students liked CoSpaces. A lot of them really adapted well to the environment. They had to become a little familiar with manipulating the camera view and everything. But once they were able to get that, they were on their own. Um, some students, they didn't like it, which I was surprised. I thought that it would have been a big 100%, you know, approval of them. But I respected their opinion. They said that they didn't like it. They didn't like. I guess they didn't like, or they didn't get the feel of manipulating the camera view.
Right.
So it takes a little bit to get used to. So with that said, I like to expand using that this year, and the merge cubes that I have for my class. I'd like to try to. That's like one of my goals, is to try to use this with, in tech integration somehow this year with my new school.
Mhm.
So we'll see. I'll let you know how it works out.
That's awesome. Yeah, you know what, I will say that for me, the big push is towards creation aspects, right? So giving our students opportunity to show what they can do, not being limited by what we think they can do or what we know to do, but really giving them the opportunity to share what they're able to create. Global Maker Day is coming up in October, and I feel like that's what that day is all about, just giving our students a chance to create. Um, totally virtual. People pop in when they can, or they watch the recording later. But what's amazing is to see the hashtag Global Maker Day running on Twitter and seeing all the amazing things, every one of them different. None are the same. They're all unique to that person. But what I have found with students, especially maybe on the GT, they want step by step. Like they don't want to explore, they just want you to tell them exactly what to do. And having something like CoSpaces, which is an incredible platform for creation, open to them is more of a frustration because they don't have it just flat out laid out for them. But I think we as educators need to challenge our students to consistently be, pushing themselves out there, that there isn't a wrong in this, like you need to take that risk and see what you can create out of it. But I agree. I've seen the hesitation because sometimes it's a little bit too open for some students. It's scary and frustrating when they don't have answers to them right now and available. That there is a learning curve. I think very small learning curve. It could be our kindergartners just dragging and dropping 3D objects to our college students that are using HTML and getting in there and adding in Java, going through and adding the coding aspect of it. That really to me is like, I have no idea how to do that, but they do it. So there's a good opportunity for all levels on CoSpaces that make it something that all users can jump into at their.
Yeah, definitely. I had the kids create an environment with three different scenes, a beginning, middle, and end.
Mhm.
And at the end, after they created their environment, I told them, okay, it doesn't mean anything until you code now, because I was teaching computer science. You have to code now. So they were like, what? I'm like, yep, you got to use the block-based code in that's available in the object, and you have to code. And that's what I'm grading you on. So, you know, I think the kids, I think that this generation, they want everything instant. And if they don't have an instant reaction or instant response, they shut down. And CoSpaces, for me, I saw them being challenged because I had them go through the video tutorials. I had them go through all that first and then create their environment. So, yeah, they got frustrated, but that's part of learning, and that's part of, becoming familiar with things on your own and figuring things out on your own. That's problem solving.
Right.
So CoSpaces is a great platform, and I'm glad that they did merge with MergeCube and partnered with them, because I think it's going to really open up a lot of possibilities for the classroom. Definitely.
And Merge VR is doing some great stuff on their own, but I think the fact that they've opened it up to connect with other companies is really, really smart. So I agree. It's just going to be a
Yeah.
good product for our classrooms in the end.
Yeah. And like CoSpaces is affordable. They have an EDU version. Um, that you can use it with your classroom. It's free. And I think you get like 30 users with your classroom. So if you're teaching three classes, obviously the first class, it has 30 spaces open, 30 licenses open for the students. You can't teach all three at the same time. You have to actually delete the 30 students and prepare that class for the second class that you're teaching. So you can't save any of the projects with the free version, but if you get the premium version, then you can upgrade and get as many licenses as you need. So you can get one license per student and be able to save their content throughout the year. So it's free, but hey, if you're just learning and you want to just get your feet wet, use the free one. And then if you really like it and the school wants to invest in it, then at least you have background knowledge, and you have some feedback there with how great really the application is.
Well, and I'll add in my code, my CoSpaces code. If somebody's interested in checking it out, it gives you a 30-day trial with 100 seats. That way, if that's typically how long you spend on a project, if not less, right? So I think it gives you a good chance to get in there and check it out and explore it. The seat licenses are, I mean, it's so minimal compared to what any other software that you would purchase or application you would purchase for your school district. So I think they've done a great job with their pricing model, and they have some just really great stuff available. So I would agree that there's some there's definitely some uses, and it gives you a chance. So I'll in the document, I'll definitely add in the CodeSpaces code.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you, Jamie. I learned so much today.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
so
so
glad to have you on the show. I was so looking forward to having you on.
thank you so much for making this work. I'm so glad we had a chance to connect, and I really would love to see what other people are creating. So if you're on Twitter, I'd love for you to showcase what you're creating with your students or what you're learning along the way with the hashtag ARVRINEDU, ARVRNEDU. And you'll get connected with some incredible people, great community, as well as being able to get questions or give answers, or just really being able to collaborate as a whole on education with immersive technology.
Well, I'll be using the hashtag, believe me.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great.
So before we go, I just want to share my screen. So let me do this. Yes, I get the cascade and screen there. So if anybody wants to be on my show, you can visit my website. You can Google the Sweet Talk, or you can go to bit.ly/the Sweet Talk website, and go to my website. You can click on the guest tab here. And if you want to be a guest on my show and learn together with me, just fill out this form and I will get back to you as soon as I can. For any past episodes that you would like to watch, you can click on the episode tab. And in this table here, I have the link to the YouTube video and the show notes, which is basically the agenda. And I am turning my Sweet Talk show into a podcast. So my podcast is available through Podbean, and I am going to upload some more episodes to my Podbean feed. But right now, you can see that I have only 5 episodes loaded up here. This episode will be uploaded shortly. But if you would like to be part of this experience with me, please feel free to fill out the form on the guest page. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel at bit.ly/the Sweet Talk channel, and you can also email me at sweettalkshow@gmail.com. I really am thankful for all of the viewers and everyone who has subscribed to my my YouTube channel. I'm almost at 300 subscribers, which is really amazing. I started this in January, and I just really wanted to connect with different people and learn from different people and share. And here I am doing it and having a great time and having fun and meeting a lot of people and learning. And that's what it's all about. It's trying to help others. So if you have a workflow, a Google tip, trick, or app that you want to share, and you can find that it can help somebody else, please reach out to me. Other than that, I am going to try to schedule a few more shows over the summer. So with that said, I will be tweeting them out when I have them available, but you can certainly watch any of the past episodes if you'd like. Well, thank you very much, Jamie, for being on today again. And I will certainly keep in touch with you. And please put all of those EdSurge articles that you wrote, those links into the agenda for us too. I think they're
Absolutely.
going to be helpful.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Jamie. It was very nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.